Greetings, my name is Dave Tolliver with GNTV, and we are excited to help facilitate your annual conference in 2022. For those of you who are not familiar with GNTV, we are an event production ministry located in Macon, Georgia. We've been working with annual conferences all over the country for nearly 40 years. We're entering our third year of virtual conferences, and since the beginning of 2020, we've helped 30 different conferences conduct their business and worship virtually. If you were with us for a virtual or hybrid annual conference in the past, a lot of this will look familiar. However, I know that you might be new to annual conferences, and a refresher is always a good thing. At this point, more than 2 years into the pandemic, you're probably very familiar with Zoom. If you're not comfortable, or if you want to see exactly what things will look like during annual conference sessions, stick around in the second half of this training. A Zoom webinar, like we're using for annual conference, is slightly different than a Zoom meeting, and we'll talk about some of those differences. So our agenda for this training looks like this. We'll cover voting first, along with our technical support resources available to you. You'll get to practice casting your vote and getting familiar with the voting platform. You'll learn how to request recognition from the bishop to speak, make a motion, call for a point of order, etc. Then we'll go over the features of Zoom webinar, talk about your settings and options. One housekeeping note, this is an on-demand video. Feel free to pause, go back, start over, or watch this entire training again in its entirety. Let's take a look at the GNTV voting website, which contains two important features: requesting recognition by the bishop to speak and voting. The voting website is different than the Zoom application on which you will watch annual conference. You may use that same device and open a web browser, or use a second device to keep Zoom and voting separate. It's up to you. The voting website for the Oregon-Idaho Conference is oiac.gntvmedia.com. Use a web browser such as Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome, or Safari, like you're using now to watch this video, and enter that website in the web browser. It's on the screen currently. Be careful entering the letters OIAC if you're using a device that utilizes autocorrect. We've seen OIAC changed automatically on some individual devices. Now, we are going to be sharing a single voter ID for this training, 123456. So on the voting website, oiac.gntvmedia.com, use our shared voter ID, which is 123456. Anyone can use this ID today, but it will not work during annual conference. If you're having difficulty logging into the voting website, call or text our tech support number, 478-245-4042. If we don't answer right now, leave a message. Let us know which conference you're calling from, and we will assist you as soon as we can. This technical support number will be available to you up until annual conference and during annual conference. So if you haven't already, go to the voting website, oiac.gntvmedia.com. Log in with that voter ID 123456. Currently, you can see the practice ballot open on the voting website. During annual conference, when a ballot is not open, you will see this screen, and it says that there are no ballots available for your voting class. When the bishop opens the ballot, you'll click the green Load Ballot button. You'll be able to make a selection and click or tap the blue Submit Vote button. You will then receive a confirmation thanking you for your vote. At this point, you will have the opportunity to change your vote using the Update Vote button as long as the ballot is open. This will not apply right now because we're using the shared voter ID 123456. So you may have already seen it on the voting website, but I want to show you what the slides will look like in Zoom. Let's take a look at our practice ballot. Do you love reading? At this point, the bishop would declare the ballot open. Now, if you have any issues, please call our tech support number listed on the voting website. You can also text us. It's 478-245-4042. 4042. If we're unable to answer, please leave a message with your conference name and we will get back to you. If you have not already, log into the voting website. The name is in the top left-hand corner of this video. Your voter ID is 123456. Make your selection and click the blue Submit Vote button. Feel free to pause this video here to complete this process. And now the bishop would declare the ballot closed. But on the voting website, we're going to leave it open for others to watch this video and participate just like you did. Now that we've covered voting, we're going to cover requesting recognition from the bishop during annual conference to speak. To address the annual conference, click the orange Get Recognized button on the voting website. Then you'll see a form that looks like the one on the right-hand side of the screen. Once you fill out the form and submit it, your submission will be reviewed by the moderators and displayed for the bishop and conference leadership. This is the equivalent of raising your hand while in the room. As soon as the form is submitted, conference leadership will see your submission. The bishop has a queue document that displays the submissions. Just like in person, if 12 members all submit the form to call the question, only one will be acknowledged by the bishop. If calling of the question is approved, the other submissions on that topic will be out of order, and those trying to speak to the topic or make an amendment may have missed their opportunity. If you're submitting a question, point of order, amendment, motion, or requesting a moment of personal privilege, you will need to enter the text to indicate your intention, so the bishop can help us move efficiently and conduct your work. Let's try out the Get Recognized feature now. Click or tap the orange Get Recognized button on the voting website, fill out the form, and submit it. Pause this video if you'd like, make your submission, and then come back to continue. If any of this has been challenging for you and you would like additional help, please call or text our tech support team at 478-245-4042. Let us know which conference you're with, and if we can't answer right now, we will call you back. Lastly, we're going to discuss Zoom. So if you're comfortable with Zoom and would like to leave, now would be a good time to do so. Even if you have not been to a virtual annual conference with us, you may be familiar with Zoom, but not Zoom Webinar. Zoom Webinar is the platform that we're using for annual conference. In a webinar, you do not have the option to turn on your camera nor unmute yourself. You will be able to speak while in the webinar if the bishop calls on you after you utilize the Get Recognized form on the voting website. This is different from Zoom, with which you might be more familiar, where you can turn on and off your microphone and camera on your own, and you can change your view of the meeting on your own. On a computer, there is a CC icon with the words Live Transcript at the bottom of the Zoom screen. That is the button you can click to enable live transcriptions. This is an AI process, and while it's not perfect, we have found that it works well and recognizes many different accents and dialects. Once you click that CC Live Transcript button, you'll see the option to show subtitle. Click there and you'll see those live transcriptions during annual conference. If you're on a mobile device, you may have to tap on a set of 3 dots or 3 lines in the corner of the screen to enable live transcriptions. The chat feature in Zoom Webinar is not used in the traditional sense during annual conference. Instead, it's used as an announcements portal for our technical team at GNTV and your conference staff to send messages to everyone. Once a chat announcement is posted, you should see a red dot over the chat icon, letting you know that there's a message to view. We'll put the voting website here along with the tech support number and other important information during annual conference. The raise hand feature will be used once the bishop calls upon you to speak. Once you have submitted your business-related question or motion through the Get Recognized feature, the bishop, if you are recognized, will call your name. At that point, click or tap the raise hand icon so that the GNTV technical team can quickly identify you. Once you click raise hand, you'll see the icon change and will say lower hand. That just means your hand is up. Remember, we do not raise hands to get the attention of the bishop because the raised hand will not be seen by the bishop. Raise hand is used once the bishop has chosen to recognize you. To lower your hand, click or tap the lower hand button. To keep everything in order on the technical side, we'll lower stray hands that are up inadvertently. The Q&A may be used for two purposes. If you have a quick technical question, you may ask it here and our GNTV staff will respond. If you have an informational question for the conference, say when is the next break or what page of the pre-conference materials are we on, you will have conference staff and volunteers watching for these submissions in Q&A. Sometimes we have individuals whose name is not displayed in Zoom. If you are an individual participating in the annual conference, we would really like to see your name in Zoom. If you're unsure if your name is associated with the Zoom account you use, there's an easy fix. When you join annual conference, log out of Zoom completely, then click the link to join. When you're not logged in, you'll be asked for your name and email address. Now don't stress about this. If your name isn't showing up, you can still participate in annual conference. But if you ask to get recognized, it might be more difficult to find you in order for us to allow you to unmute yourself. If you are called upon by the bishop to speak, please raise your hand in Zoom and we will give you the technical ability to speak. You'll see a pop-up that looks like this. You must click unmute in order to be heard. We cannot unmute for you. That is a security feature of Zoom. We give you the technical ability to speak, but only you can unmute your microphone. All right, I have one final request for you regarding the Zoom application. If you receive a notice to update your Zoom, please take the time to do that. We want everyone to have the most recent version of Zoom so that you can fully participate in annual conference. Older versions of Zoom may not allow you to speak when called upon by the bishop and can keep you from fully participating in annual conference. If you want to check for updates manually on a computer, click the icon in the top right-hand corner and click Check for Updates. If you're on a Windows computer and not logged into an account, there are a couple of extra steps. Look for the Zoom icon in the tray. You might have to click the little caret that says Show Hidden Icons. Right-click on the Zoom icon and click Check for Updates. On a Mac, click on zoom.us in the top left-hand corner and then click Check for Updates. On the mobile device, go to your device's App Store, find the Zoom application, and check for updates. If you're having difficulty with Zoom or with voting, call or text us at 478-245-4042. This will be the same number to call as we lead up to annual conference and during annual conference. It's an honor and a privilege to serve your annual conference in 2022. We look forward to being with you as you conduct the critical work of the church. Thank you for being with us.